We all know people in real life that seem to be perfect, and nothing bad ever seems to happen to them. And sure, while some people are absolutely born lucky, as much as we may not want to admit it, a lot of the times, successful people just flat out know how to get it done and back up the big talk. And while they may not be likable, you cannot question their success. I feel like this analogy perfectly summarizes MasterChef Season 5 winner Courtney Lapressi, one of the most dominant winners in MasterChef history despite not being the most rootable contestant in the world. Today, we'll be going through her entire run in Season 5 and see just what made her win this season. Be sure to hit that subscribe and like button for more story videos like this. And with that, here is the full story of Courtney Lapressi. Unlike the first 4 MasterChef seasons, there wouldn't be any auditions in order to get an apron this season, as the top 30 quote best home cooks in America were immediately brought into the MasterChef kitchen and would have to cook the dish of their life to earn their spot onto the official cast. Despite there being 30 people, Courtney, in my eyes, would have the best episode out of them all, not only being one of the first ones to be introduced to the audience with her story, but would also have the best dish of the night, being the first one to earn the coveted apron.
I'm making ricotta and gnocchi and a brown butter sage sauce with some peas. When I was in my senior year of college, I was taking 18 credits, I had 5 jobs, I still couldn't pay my rent, so I had to make the decision to go work in a gentleman's club. I can't be an entertainer forever, but I can be a cook forever. This is the most important dish in my entire life right now. Gotta be here tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, all the way until I get that MasterChef trophy.
If we call your name, come down here and receive your MasterChef white apron.
I just cooked my soul on that plate. Like, put me out of my misery and say my name.
The first apron belongs to Courtney.
I came here with a dream. Now it's really coming true.
Definitely you on a plate. Authentic, brave, tenacious. Great job.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. Wow, I'm so proud of myself.
So yeah, it's hard to imagine after an episode like this that Courtney at the very least won't be a big time character this season. In the end, 8 chefs will be sent home, giving us a cast of 22 home cooks for the official Season 5 cast. And Courtney did not slow down whatsoever to begin this season officially, as after having the best dish in the premiere, she would once again be the standout chef in the first mystery box of the season.
Tell me what we have here.
A honey cake topped with toasted pecans and a honey caramel.
I mean, it looks like a restaurant dish. The honey can sometimes be so overpowering and sweet, and when you get those together, it's very harmonious.
Thank you, Chef.
Good job.
Love the crunch.
Thank you, sir.
If that is a sign of what's to come, good luck to the people standing behind you. The person who made the best dessert, Courtney. Great job. Well done.
Again, I don't care how early it is. To be the best dish going against at least 20 plus contestants in each round is absolutely crazy. And honestly, the only bad thing about this is that she's already so much of a threat that she may be targeted in the future. At the first team challenge of the season, the following episode, it would actually be a pretty quiet one for Courtney, as even though her team would lose, she would once again provide a great dish, with Ramsay even already asking at this point if there's anything she can't do. Obviously very high praise early on. However, after this insane start, episode 4 would be the toughest point in Courtney's journey, and frankly, her only bad episode of the season. It started with high schooler Alron winning the mystery box, and for the pressure test, Courtney was at the top of her hit list given just how much she reminded her of the prototypical bratty and stuck-up high school girl. And on that note, while a lot of people do consider Courtney unlikable, it's not like she really did anything outright evil this season. But I think even the biggest of Courtney fans can admit that she does seem pretty fake when she talks, and you can't help but feel she's trying to flirt with the judges every time she presents a dish. And again, that seemed to be the vibe the rest of the cast got from her as well. I won't touch much more on that in this video, but just keep that stuff in mind going forward. Anyway, feeling like donuts would trip Courtney up, that's what Auron would choose. And man, if it wasn't for sweet as could be Francis, Courtney would have been the episode 4 boot.
Is anybody... I'm screwed. Remaking my dough because I forgot to add eggs to it. I have to start over, all over, right now. And I don't have any yeast. Francis Biondi, did you grab any extra yeast?
No.
Do you have any extra yeast? I'm basically shouting down the line to anybody that might have yeast. Did you grab any extra yeast?
Nope. Even if I had yeast, it's highly unlikely that I'd give it to Courtney.
Any extra yeast?
No, no more yeast.
I see Courtney running around like a fool, and all I can really think is, my plan's working.
Do you have any extra yeast? I love you. Thank you.
Francis, what the hell? You just messed with my plan right now.
I'm so grateful. You better not.
Despite Frances coming through, Courtney's late start and overall panicking would cost her, and she would be in the bottom 3, and it would actually come down to her and Kira, and in the end, she would barely survive. And again, had she literally not been super dominant in the first 3 episodes, she may have been a boot tier, but in this case, the judges were willing to give her a second chance. Despite barely surviving this round, that didn't stop Courtney from coming out guns a-blazing the following episodes, as she joined the crowd against Leslie in his infamous episode as a team captain, despite not even being on his team. In episode 6 though, Courtney would go right back to her dominant ways, as with ironically the previous season's winner Luca watching, she would replicate his veal dish to perfection, having the best elimination dish, and thus got a massive advantage at the final 15 round. Courtney would actually not have to cook at all this round, as she was automatically safe, and would get to choose the 7 partners in this duo's challenge. Her main targets were Leslie for hating him, and thus paired him with Iran, and Frances B and Christian, feeling they were the biggest threats in the competition, and so paired them together in hopes their egos would clash. And while her plan to get Leslie out backfired, as he and Iran would actually work insanely well together, Frances and Christian were almost too talented to mesh with each other, like Courtney predicted, putting them into the pressure test along with Dan and Cutter, who granted were far less talented, but in the end, Courtney's plan would work, as a massive contender and Frances B would be the one to go home. After an invisible episode 8, the Christian and Courtney rivalry would continue at the top 13, as the two would both be in the top 3 at the mystery box, but this time, Christian would one-up Courtney, winning the mystery box, and wanting to get revenge on her. He would pick her as the only contestant who would have to cook their dish in 30 minutes instead of 1 hour, and obviously on paper, massive disadvantage for Courtney. But Courtney would once again prove Christian and all her haters wrong with another epic dish.
Describe the dish, please.
A chanterelle mushroom ragu with crispy artichoke hearts and a crispy pancetta.
It's about the ingredients. When you think of Italian cuisine, it's about that rustic charm. You've brought that. But by and large, just looking at the dish, it looks like it took you 60 minutes as opposed to 30. Thank you.
You didn't have much wiggle room.
That's right.
She played it safe. From what I saw, she just threw everything in a pot and just clapped them heels, and hopefully it came together.
You, with the advantage, could have easily picked 5 people in this room and sent them home. You might have wasted a pretty big advantage on a very strong competitor who shielded off your attack.
Christian didn't target me. He put a spotlight on me. That's where I perform the best, is in the spotlight.
Again, we can hate on Courtney all we want, but man, she truly can back it up. And as they say, haters gonna hate, but she'll just shake it off. After an invisible falling episode, she would once again shine at the final 11, having the second best elimination dish of the night, meaning she would once again get an advantage the following episode, already the 3rd time that's happened this season. In an interesting twist, the team captains and Courtney and Jamie would actually pick for the other team, meaning that Courtney got stuck with the likes of Christian and Leslie. Unfortunately for her, while she did fine in her first time as team captain, her team was just edged out, Liddy losing the vote by 2 percentage points. However, Courtney had the opportunity to save herself from having to cook in the pressure test, and while sure a more heroic chef would have offered themselves to cook, Courtney played it smart, and boy, was this ever a time to be somewhat selfish, as only 3 chefs would be cooking here, with 2 of them going home. And while you could obviously argue that Courtney would have been safe had she competed, that would have been a tough ask, and I think it's safe to say she was happy with her decision. But yeah, just like that, we've gone from 10 home cooks to 8 now, with Courtney once again having to work with a rival in hers and Christian. And while they wouldn't produce the best dish of the night, they would put the differences aside to produce a dish good enough to keep them out of the pressure test, taking us into the final 7. And as we enter the endgame, I think it's important to note that this was a very interesting endgame talent-wise, as the likes of Cutter and Leslie had insanely bumpy rides, Big Willie was starting to falter a bit, Jamie, while great, had been pretty invisible, meaning that Courtney's biggest competition was Christian and Elizabeth, another contestant who wasn't fond of Courtney. With this in mind, after Courtney won yet another mystery box, she would once again implement her strategy from before when picking pairs for the elimination challenge, pairing Elizabeth with the weak Cutter, and pairing the 2 big-time personalities of Willie and Christian together. And this strategy proved perfect, as both these pairs struggled, and in the end, while she wouldn't get one of her strongest competitors out, a big contender in Willie would go home. And now Courtney without question had the best resume out of the final 6, and just simply has to keep the momentum going for just a bit longer. Speaking of the final 6, Courtney would have her first bad episode since episode 4, which is absolutely crazy, as during the dinner service challenge, she would struggle a bit, producing some subpar dishes that got sent back, and would immediately give up her leadership role to Christian, almost immediately after Jamie had given up that role to Courtney. Unsurprisingly, this would cause the blue team to lose, but as usual, Courtney would respond well to this bit of adversity with another stellar elimination dish.
Visually, it looks beautiful. The spun sugar just should tear away. That's the idea. You have there a beautiful croquant bouche. Crisp, light, beautiful. Delicious.
Thank you, chef.
Absolutely delicious. Finishing, gorgeous. Pastry cream, light.
Have you ever made one of these before?
No.
With that spun sugar, it's not just a garnish to make it look pretty, like it adds something, and like that one that I just tried. But the greatest thing in there is that pastry cream. This is what we asked for. This is top notch.
That would bring us into the top 5, and unfortunately for Courtney, she would have to face even more adversity, as her biggest competition in Elizabeth would win the mystery box, and would assign Courtney to cook with buffalo testicles, hoping this would trip up the biggest threat of the competition. And while I really should make a joke here about Courtney handling balls well, seriously, how the hell did this woman make a good dish from buffalo testes?
Today I made fried herbe de Provence testicle over a pot au feu.
Never quite in the history of my cooking career seen a testicle so glamorous as that. Delicious, refined, and the protein, the bit that we're all focused on tonight, nailed. Finesse, you've managed to give a difficult protein a little bit of glamour. Good job.
Thank you, chef.
You served that to someone, didn't tell them what it was, they would be asking for seconds and thirds. They are awesome. I think you just took this as an opportunity to intimidate your tough competitor and show everyone else behind you how badass you are.
It doesn't matter what you throw at me, I'm going to send it back to you singing.
Good job, Court.
Due to having the best dish in the previous round, Courtney would get to choose her partner for the final 4 round. And despite not exactly being besties and the biggest threat, Courtney frankly still had no choice but to choose Elizabeth, as these two together were far bigger favorites over Cutter and Leslie. And despite the latter putting up a good fight, in the end, the Goliaths outdid the Davids, advancing Courtney into the final 3, with Cutter in the end being the one to go home. The problem though with Courtney choosing Elizabeth is that while yes, it pretty much all but guaranteed herself a spot into the final 3, now she had to focus on getting Elizabeth out. Unfortunately, with past eliminated contestants judging the final 3's dish, Elizabeth would one-up Courtney for the second time in this endgame, automatically advancing into the final 2, meaning that it was now all down to Courtney against the seemingly cats with 9 lives in Leslie. And in all honesty, in another battle of David versus Goliath, this time, the David and Leslie would damn near take out Courtney, but it would be the smallest of details that would do them in, and take Courtney into the final 2.
But something very odd came to mind whilst tasting the sponge. Will you just have a taste of that, please? You know what's wrong with that sponge. You put the salt in place of the sugar.
I may have, yes.
The home cook who made the best Boston cream pie. Courtney.
I tried. I made a simple mistake. Not a problem.
And so now, in one of the best final 2s ever, instead of David versus Goliath, it was flat out Goliath versus Goliath, as the two rivals in Elizabeth and Courtney, who had like 2 bad dishes between them all season, would duke it out for the title of MasterChef. And in the end, 3 dishes would forever change Courtney's future, and she would come out on top to win MasterChef Season 5.
The pig's ears were very good, crispy, salty, rich. You have a great balance. It's certainly one of the most well-dressed salads that I've eaten in recent history.
Thank you, sir.
Visually gorgeous, and I think it tastes as good as it looks. The duck breast is crispy and bacon-like and really amazing, and the sauce buttery and rich. Overall, one of the best dishes I think that you've put up. Very commendable. Cherries.
Something tastes salty. The cherries taste salty?
Cherries, maybe.
I put a little bit of salt into the black cherries.
I have to say that I think it's brilliant.
Thank you, sir.
It is really elevating the intellectual component of a dessert. It's very intellectually and physically satisfying.
Thank you, sir.
America's next great MasterChef is Courtney.
I've never given up. I've made so many sacrifices, and this validates all of them. No more student loans, my mom gets a kitchen, and I have a secure future in cooking.
So I mean, I said it from the start, but hate on Courtney all you want. And yeah, she is that typical pretty girl that's easy to root against. And again, it's one of those things that the more good she does, the more you want to see her fail almost out of spite. But literally her only mistake all season came at the cupcake challenge, which to be fair, might have been the closest a winner ever came to going home, and a less than stellar dinner service performance. She was not only good, but flat out dominant this season, as she had the best mystery box / pressure test 5 times this season, came through and multiple people targeted her all season, and she herself was able to be strategic at times when targeting her biggest rivals. Again, it's easy to root against someone like Courtney, but liking and disliking someone is one thing, but man, I don't see how anyone cannot respect her performance this season, as that's a whole nother thing, and she will likely always remain as one of the most dominant contestants in MasterChef history. So there you have it, guys, the full story of Corutney Lapressi. Let me know your thoughts on Courtney in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe and like button if you would like to see more MasterChef content. With all that said, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.